Hello, welcome to R&G at the Crossroad. I am your co-host, G.A. Cross.
And I'm also your co-host, and my name is Roosevelt. We first of all like to thank you for joining our broadcast today. And what we're going to talk about today is how people that are in your life, or you're surrounded by, or those that you interact with, how they can affect your outcome. So one of the things that has always been really important to me is the people I'm around. And I've been around some unsavory people, and I've been around people that, really had good intentions in their interacting with me, and also, sort of like kind of dreaming as well and having positive attitude. And one of the things I've noticed, Gerald, throughout my lifetime, those people that really did not have my best interest, but I spent a lot of time around. And of course, a lot of times you really don't get it until after you come through the experience. And one of the things I've learned looking back, that when I hung around a certain group of people, I became more of them than them of me. For instance, what I'm trying to say is, if, there was a time where, I got into drugs. And if I wasn't hanging around the people that I was around at that time, and a lot of them, some of my friends, and I had resisted for a while. I'd be around them, they'd be doing, their crack, and well, it wasn't crack then, they called it freebasing. And I'd be around them, and I could be around them, and didn't affect me. We'd be playing cards, they'd be doing their thing, and I'd be drinking my beer. Eventually, maybe about a 6 months to 8 months, then all of a sudden my curiosity was like, let me try it. Now, these were people that I could consider friends. I could have removed myself from that situation. They didn't force me into it, but I could have removed myself from that situation, but I didn't. And then, 6 months later, $25,000 was gone from my account.
Yeah.
Now, I also remember a time, which was the way I got that kind of money sitting in my account. I was hanging around. I used to sell this thing called the Rainbow Sweeper. It uses water as a filter. And I was knocking it out. We're doing our meetings every morning, briefings, business meetings every morning before we go into training, then getting on the phone, making phone calls, and then getting out on the road and selling. And I'm around people that are like-minded in that space. And man, that energy was just ridiculous. And so I was able to, make some good money until I decided, that's before I got into the airline industry. So I said all that to say that people, it's very important, the people you're around. They are going, if you hang around murderers long enough, you're going to kill somebody. If you hang around thieves long enough, you're going to steal something. If you're hanging around people that has goals and plans and are trying to get to where you really want to be, if your goal and plans are a better life, more money, more freedom. If you're hanging around people of that type, then obviously that is what you want to become. So
it's like a direct connection between your association and an assimilated behavior.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think that from my experience, I think it's very, very powerful. A lot of times you can really kind of see your future based on the people that you hang around, because, if you're looking around and, I think the one thing that we ought to really be on the lookout for, make sure you're not the smartest person in your group.
That's key.
Make sure you're not the smartest person in your group. Now it may really massage your ego to be in that situation, but it's not going to allow you to grow, because they're always going to be, that group is going to constantly look to you for guidance and so on and so forth. But you're going to need somebody to stimulate you and to give you some antidotes and some different gems that are going to allow you to be successful. And also too, you just, you want to be around people that are goal achievers and positive. Because if you're around those people, like Roosevelt saying, that right there is going to give you an environment that is healthy, because it's going to provide an arena that is going to want you to excel as well. It's going to want you to be goal oriented, because those people around you are so they're talking about goals, what they're doing, their agenda, these kinds of things that are healthy in regard to you being successful.
Yeah, that'll definitely affect your personal outcomes in your life. It's definitely going to affect the way you think. It's definitely going to affect your motivation. When you're around people that are constantly, trying to improve themselves, their family, having different positive values, when you're spending time around, and I know the older you get, the harder it is, because we've all been hurt by a lot of people. And I mean, I myself, I had to cut loved ones off. Right now, in this time, space and time of my life, I just had to cut people off, because I feel as though I haven't achieved those things that burn in my soul from a very young age. I haven't achieved those things. Do I have a good life? I do. But I still feel that I have missed the mark.
Well, and I think it takes a lot of times, that takes and requires a person to do a self-evaluation, which it sounds like you have done. That is a major step. Absolutely. And it's a powerful step, because change always begins from within. So if you can identify anything that is holding you back, or situations, circumstances, relationships that you've had to encounter, so on and so forth, those are things that you want to identify, so that way you can figure out, hey, what things will I need to eliminate that's going to allow me to be able to be successful, that's going to allow me to move forward.
Right.
So that's important.
And also, Gerald, a lot of people like to be alone, and of course, I don't judge nobody. I don't begrudge anybody. I don't know what makes you happy. But this is the thing that I know is important, especially with all this technology. And we're talking about, the people you're around. Now, those people don't have to be in physical contact with you. With all the technology that's out here, you can learn so much and get a lot of positive feedback just by doing YouTube channels, such as what we're trying to create. Reading books. You have to read books. And I think that's a staple to everything anyway. Even if you do surround yourself around people that are of like mind. I'm a firm believer that leaders are readers, as opposed to readers being leaders. So that's something that's part of the process. Reading. Yeah. You have to read this kind of stuff that's going to help motivate you.
Absolutely. That's very, I agree, man. That's very important. You to get self-help material. There are speakers that are personal development speakers. That's their specialty. From getting you from one point to the next, getting you to a series of different techniques to help you to change bad habits into good ones, so on and so forth. So yeah, absolutely. So you definitely want to get yourself with some good reading material. Find people and seek out people, like, for example, what your purpose is. Sometimes you need a self-help book to identify that. These kinds of things will help you to be grounded, so that way that when you do encounter people that are not healthy in regard to giving you good information or being positive, you'll be grounded to where you'll be able to deal with that, because in the long run, you have to make that decision. And this is what our platform is about, decisions.
Right, right,
You have to make that decision to be a gatekeeper to who you share your goals and dreams with.
right.
Because not everybody that you encounter is going to be a healthy person for you to share those things with. Because like Roosevelt was saying, hey, they could have something negative or not positive or encouraging for you that could be detrimental to you making that decision or having enough courage to make that first step to do something about it.
And you know, it's something that you said earlier that's extremely important. Self-evaluation.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, man.
You really have to do an honest self-evaluation, because a lot of times there's things in us that we've been hurt by or feel that we've been done wrong, you know, and we allow that thing to manifest in changing our path, changing, you know, changing us at the crossroad.
Yeah.
That, you know, for the worse, not the better. And that's the thing when Gerald mentioned that, that's the number one thing to me. Do a self-evaluation. Be honest.
Yeah.
Be honest with yourself.
I think doing that, it gives you a clear eye to identify what you need to do. And you also have to understand too, that when you have goals and dreams, you got to treat those like it's a precious garden.
Absolutely.
And if those people that you're associating with are not healthy people, if they're not positive people, if they're not goal-oriented people, if they have discouraging comments on the sleeve, you know, if you tell them you're interested in doing something, they got 10 reasons on their sleeve to tell you why you can't do it. But then when you ask them, give me one reason why I can, they become silent.
Right.
So
right.
You have to be a person that tends to a garden. If you want things to grow there, then you have to tend to it to make sure that you eliminate any weeds, any pests, anything like that, that's going to prevent what your goals and your dreams manifesting and growing.
Absolutely, absolutely. And, you know, you also mentioned something about, you know, when we first opened up the broadcast, not being the smartest person in the world.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because see, a lot of times you could be the problem. You know,
yeah.
You can have good intentions and have yourself a good mix of people around you, but you could be the problem. If you're not doing a real honest self-evaluation and you got to be the smartest person in the room, it's going to draw people away from you. You can have the best intentions in the world, but like Gerald said, don't be the smartest person in the room, because within your network of people that are trying to create something, and you got to be the smartest person in the room, you could be the problem.
You could be. And I think that boils down to, I tell you, man, I remember, and you heard me mention Les Brown a lot. I love Les Brown. And he's got a series, The Power of Purpose, man. It's a series that's been around for some years, but man, if you can get it, you're trying to get yourself going. It's got a lot of anecdotes, a lot of great gems in it. And I remember him talking about two children that were playing on the ice. And he talked about how they were playing on the ice, so on and so forth. And they were two little kids. And make a long story short, one of them had fallen through. And one of the kids grabbed a branch, started banging on the ice. I mean, religiously, until he was able to get his friend free. When he got his friend free, got him to the shore, he goes to get help. People show up and so on and so forth. They tend to him. They're looking around. They're looking at the little boy. They're looking at that branch. And they say, how in the world did this little boy with that branch free his friend from the ice? So they were looking at each other like that. They had no idea. And then finally, this one man, he said, you know what? I know exactly how he did it. And they were like, how? He said, it wasn't a soul here to tell him he couldn't. Nobody. Nobody here.
That's powerful.
to tell him he couldn't do it. And that is the main thing in your life that you have to be the gatekeeper of. If you have something in you, a purpose, a goal, a powerful agenda that's going to take you to new places, new ports, new places in your life, to allow you to elevate yourself from not ever reaching a plateau. If you have that in you, you have to be careful who you allow in here. You got to be the gatekeeper, and you got to be a serious gatekeeper of who you allow in there, because they can plant things in there that will allow you to have, they could put these types of things in your mind that just grow and manifest self-doubt, even in places and fears and things that you don't even have of your own.
Right.
You know, so absolutely be a good gatekeeper.
Absolutely, man. You know, and that's very important. And as Gerald and I, you know, as we go on this journey, we welcome you to go on this journey with us. Just come on and join us, you know, on this journey of growing a community of like-minded people that aren't afraid to make decisions, you know, and hopefully decisions for the betterment of their own lives and their community. We understand all decisions and choices don't turn out the way that we like or wish them would be. But nevertheless, there is a lesson to be learned in all the decisions that we make and choices. But at the end of the day, a decision is going to have to be made, either willingly or unwillingly.
We have to make that decision to whether we want to remain the same, regress, or grow. On our show, it is all about the ability to grow. So we're coming here to discuss different techniques and different antidotes that are going to allow us to make better decisions to bring us better outcomes. So we will grow together.
Absolutely. So come on and join us at the Crossroad.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And please feel free to join us. This is our YouTube channel. Also our website, rgthecrossroad.com. And we're also RG at the Crossroad on Facebook and Instagram. So please join us and look forward to having better outcomes. Thank you and have a good night.
Peace.